The story of Tomohiro and One Punch Man needs to be studied by all up-and-coming indie comic creators. Tomohiro, or One as he's professionally known, started out publishing his first One Punch Man stories in the Japanese website Weekly Young Jump. The webcomic would gain millions of fans over time. One was met with pushback by the mangaka community because they didn't like his art style. They thought it was too simplistic, amateurish. One would state in an interview that he was held back from going into manga full-time by his peers because they didn't think he could make money as an artist. But One was determined regardless. It wasn't until Yusuke Murata, an accomplished manga artist, took interest in redoing the One Punch Man webcomics into published manga that One would become a full-time manga artist. One achieved success by simply putting his work out, gaining his large fan base over time, and more importantly, having a good rapport with people. You see, you don't hear about the mangaka engaging in things like gay ops, backroom shenanigans, doxing, or live streaming for hours trashing other creators and pushing customers away over such behaviors. This is one of the many ways manga is kicking the butt of Western comics. In today's video, we're going to go over the story of the launch of the comic book, The Mighty Golden Patriot by Yellowflash, and the campaign to undermine it and illustrate just how toxic one sector of independent comics has become. First, please hit that like and subscribe button for more content like this. And if you're in the market for indie comics, please check out RoadWarriorDrake.com, where you can get copies of my two graphic novels, Street Champion Road Warrior Drake and Beast Citizen Road Warrior Drake, in hardcover, paperback, and yes, manga versions.
We as artists, especially in the comic books, are unique. You know, we try to create a style that's identifiable of our own. Now, granted, there is something to be said about an artist who can really master, anatomy, backgrounds, perspective, things like that. It's, and those arts are fantastic. I envy them, but there are artists who are also creating a style all their own. A lot of artists over the years, over the centuries, have moved the art form forward by just, experimenting with different designs. Pablo Picasso, Salvador Dali, many artists over the years have created their own unique vision. That holds true in comic books as well. I think it's really bad etiquette for one artist to critique another artist. It's just really one of those, to me, an unwritten rule that sort of like casting, the first stone, basically.
The thing with comic books is, like, the more realistic they start to look, the worse they are, because the closer you're trying to get to reality with your drawings on it, the less it is easy to make out what you're even looking at.
Thank you. As Ben Dunn put it, there seems to be a lack of etiquette with creators attacking other creators. Richard C. Meyer, aka your boy Zack, who had been in a barrage of bad takes lately, not that long ago threw his hat into the anti-Eric July train. He made a point on criticism that is a self-defeating argument. He said, "You have 870 hibbity billion sales per picosecond, but not a single memorable character or story. Not even one bravura scene in all those books." He's also been attacking the Ripper fans, something unheard of in the early days of Comicsgate, a creator in the indie space bashing a fan base of another creator. It stems from an elitist attitude that comics are some form of high art that only a select initiated few are entitled to make, and not the commercial art that was meant to entertain for a consumer if they chose.
I like this. This was actually funny. I like it.
What the fuck is this picture?
That's Rosetta.
It's Rosetta. She saved him from the island.
Indie comic creators have forgotten that comics are supposed to be fun and entertaining. Nitpicking every detail is just unheard of and weird. It was attempted on Tomohiro, and despite such elitist pushbacks by his peers, One still managed to produce one of the most memorable characters in all of fiction. But to Richard C. Meyer's point, There have been more conversations and videos about Isom, Yaira, Horseman, Alpha Core, and other Rippaverse characters than there are conversations about Cyberfrog, Godlike, or even Vito's Superkiller. Edwin Boyette, in his Indie Comic Report, noted that Rippaverse was on course to hit $2 million in comic book sales for the first quarter of 2025, with 55,000 books sold. In contrast, Comicsgate books would only reach as far as $500,000 in the same first quarter.
And I am aware that you have a comic book called Cyberfrog. And I'm aware that he's got the Rippaverse, right?
Right.
I know
my sales chart.
I
Hold
know
on.
more about his comic.
Here's my sales chart.
I'll look at that in a second. I know more about his comic book because of you than I know about your comic book. And you and guys like you have promoted him to the point where I know the names of his characters of comic book series I have never read and will never read. I know what Flores Park is. I know all this shit because you guys have made this such a big deal. And meanwhile,
then you should be thanking me.
I don't know
You
anything
should be
about
thanking me.
Cyberfrog.
Which brings us to the main subject of this video, the Mighty Golden Patriot by YouTuber, comic book reviewer, and one of the first members of Comicsgate, Yellowflash. Flash is a fan of Sentai shows like Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. The Mighty Golden Patriot is a tribute to those Sentai shows. Controversy arose when it was revealed that its artist, John Dillard, was only getting paid 40% of the book's sales, meaning this was a back-end deal he made with Yellowflash. When members of Comicsgate got wind, they weaponized this information by saying that Yellowflash did not pay his artist. Ethan Van Sciver took further advantage by saying he had told Flash he didn't think Dillard's art was good. When Dillard had a crisis situation regarding his house that saw him and his family displaced for a time, EVS sensationalized this by saying Yellowflash allowed his artist to go unpaid and without help. Dillard was on record stating that Yellowflash did indeed offer, and that he, Dillard, turned the help down. So frequent and obsessive was the gossip about Dillard's family being impoverished that Dillard himself took it to Van Sciver to dismiss the gossip.
But here's the thing. I am probably not going to do this draw with Ethan because, to be perfectly fair, it would be disingenuous. I am not financially handicapped right now. I don't need the money. So I would appreciate it. Ethan, if you stop telling people that I'm destitute and needed the money so badly. Now, I do want to get paid. I want to get paid big. But I am not in dire straits.
Well, I mean,
I'm back in my house now. Everything's fine. We have a little bit of the kitchen left to do, but everybody's back in their rooms. Everything's fine. Everything's perfect.
News,
and I understand that you got your beef with Yellowflash and you hate Yellowflash, and that's your business. That's not my business. But now that you know me and you know my name, and know that I'm not destitute.
Ethan also had a gripe with Dillard agreeing to a back-end deal with Yellowflash.
From my perspective, there is no reason why you should be working for free for somebody else on their project. That doesn't exist in comics. That shouldn't be happening.
Well, it happens.
I hear you. You're like
It happens a great deal in independent comics.
This is true. Bleeding Cool did articles in 2009 mentioning back-end deals in comics. And comics aren't the only form of entertainment that dabbles in back-end deals. Tom Hanks famously agreed to a back-end deal and even paid out of pocket for some scenes in his iconic movie, Forrest Gump. That back-end deal ultimately made him $65 million. Tom Cruise also took a back-end deal for the first Mission Impossible movie and garnered $70 million profit from the first dollar gross of the movie. Excitement and camaraderie was present with Flash's launch of the Mighty Golden Patriot. You know it was a big deal when Per Berg, the artist for Mark Millar's Vatican City from Dark Horse Comics, is promoting Flash's book with top-notch art. But those in Comicsgate were not so enthused. On the contrary, they were seeking ways to avoid paying Flash money for the book without looking like they were depriving John Dillard of it. I covered CG's resentment of Yellowflash in my documentary When the Culture War Hit Those Pretty Pictures, which you can see for free here on this channel. Even Katie did work to undermine Yellowflash by agreeing to do an art auction for Dillard. However, she refused to do any art from the Mighty Golden Patriot. On opening day, the Mighty Golden Patriot made over $35,000 with 1,176 books sold. This was done without a live stream to promote or launch it. It was entirely X-focused. No doubt, the intense drama surrounding the launch of the Mighty Golden Patriot affected what could have been a fun and dynamic launch of a new comic book character and book. Some had projected that the Mighty Golden Patriot would have made $1 million considering Flash's connections with the Friday Night Tights crew, Eric July, as well as his own audience who come out to support him during his Saturday live streams. Eric July did a live stream during opening day, but some of his peers noted they were underwhelmed with Flash's sales numbers. The one-day total was 35,000. For many comic creators, this would have been a good number. However, many have pointed out due to Flash's larger audience reach, the number is quite low. Ethan Van Sciver and John Malin, the two leaders of Comicsgate, whose behaviors and actions were documented in my documentary, When the Culture War Hit Those Pretty Pictures, were quick to mock Flash's numbers. Both declared Flash as a failure and lacking humility. However, this underscores a bigger problem. Crowdfunding sales are down all over. Let's take a look at some numbers. John Malin's Godlike 2 made $145,440. This was a $100,000 drop from his first Godlike book, which was met with lukewarm reviews. In comparison, Flash's first day total sales at $35,000 would seem putrid, but he also sold 1,176 books, only 400 books less than Malin's entire Godlike 2 run, and in its first 2 days, Mighty Golden Patriot sold 1,901 books, more than Malin's Godlike 2. The second of Ethan Van Sciver's Cyberfrog books, Wrecked Planet, made $835,030 in its 60-day campaign run. In a year, it totaled $1.2 million. The number was helped by the amount of toys and PVCs Ethan inflated in the campaign, so that meant a lot of the money wasn't even earned through the books. But $1.2 million is still a lot of money. Now let's look at Red Extermination, the third Cyberfrog book. In its 60-day run, Red Extermination made $493,571. That is a $341,459 drop, which equals a drop of 41%. Also, 11,893 backers were recorded for the Red Planet campaign, while 7,030 are currently recorded for the Red Extermination campaign, which has been open for almost 2 years. That is a drop of 4,863 backers. Add to the fact that Indiegogo records a customer backing multiple tiers as individual backers, and you have a case for a customer base for Ethan Van Sciver that is shrinking. And it also doesn't help his cause when you look at the comments section for Wrecked Planet, which to this day still have unhappy customers with unfulfilled books, along with similar refund requests in both his Rainbow the Brute and Red Extermination campaigns, among many of his unfulfilled campaigns, and you have mistrust in a bad economy. Many backers and comic book customers are walking away from the scene. The other thing Comicsgate isn't being honest about is that Rippaverse sales numbers do not include taxes, fees, or even shipping costs. Those numbers aren't added to the Rippaverse sales numbers. In contrast, Indiegogo adds those numbers to their visible final sales, which inflates the numbers. Here is Drunk 3PO explaining further.
Does Jay regret using Rippaverse? It isn't performing significantly better than his. It isn't performing significantly better than his first book. I hope it works out for him. Well, let me just correct you on that. I did not cross $50,000 in sales on my first book till after the first month. So we crossed that in 2 weeks here.
And that's no tax, no shipping either. So
it actually is doing a lot better than I anticipated. You know, and Blue with the Indiegogo, the money that's on the front, it included all the shipping.
Yeah, it includes
taxes,
everything anybody pays.
When it says, "Hey, you did $100,000 campaign," yeah, that's great. But all the shipping money's in there, all the taxes is in that number, everything is in that number, everything's in that number.
Many have expressed disdain over the drama among creators, the livestream shenanigans, and blood sports. All these factors are affecting many comic book campaigns, from Comicsgate to Rippaverse. Considering these numbers, Yellowflash seems to be defying the odds as it relates to the number of books sold. The Mighty Golden Patriot still has until July to meet its goal and more. It has currently sold over 2,000 books. As Edwin Boyette suggested about Yellowflash, tune out all the noise and focus on conveying the passion and adventure in the Mighty Golden Patriot. During Yellowflash's launch, Ethan Van Sciver tried to stream snipe him live to his audience, but Flash played the infamous livestream EVS tried to memory hole, where he was drunk, smoking with weird-looking lesbians, and passed out on a urinal. This caused EVS to abandon the stream snipe entirely.
Oh shit, he's playing it!
Oh, they're watching video of me. They're watching drunk video of me.
By the way, I'm getting accused of sharing this.
That's fantastic. Thank you, guys. I appreciate that. But you know what? If it sells Mighty Golden Patriot for you, let's see if it has. No, it has not. 0 copies sold of Mighty Golden Patriot.
Oh no!
Even though they're still sharing video of me being drunk, walking around, smoking drugs. It is all about me, guys. Ultimately, this was about me. Showing that video is coping and seething about me right now.
Get him!
Because we're having a good time over this. All right, hold on a second. Read the chat.
His mood seemed to have dropped a lot.
Does it really seem to have that energy he first had when he...
People want to see fun and inspiration in their entertainment, especially comics. If the Mighty Golden Patriot is to meet its $100,000 goal and beyond, more emphasis would need to be placed on the merits of the book, more art from the book, and perhaps even a physical copy to display. The lessons of one are unfortunately not being learned by Western comic book creators. Too much emphasis on a parasocial relationship online, too much latching onto with other creators, putting out too many opinions, and flexing on other creators. There indeed is a market for people who want to see new characters, dramatic and entertaining storytelling.